ever feel like with life going 100 miles an hour, telling your partner you love them gets kind of, pushed aside, like squeezed in between errands.
Oh, absolutely. I think in today's world, it's something we all struggle with.
Right. And that's why we're diving into this lifeplanter.com article, Heartfelt Love Messages for Your Husband. And I gotta admit, at first I thought, okay, another cheesy listicle, here we go.
Yeah.
But it kind of surprised me. It gets into how important, like really important words are in a strong relationship and how that's even more true in our, digital world.
What I found interesting was it really stresses how important that consistent, affirmation is.
Yeah.
It's less about those big sweeping romantic gestures and more about those smaller reminders.
Yeah.
Why you two were drawn to each other in the first place.
Totally. And they said something that I was like, yes, that's so it. Sincerity, always beats out trying to sound super poetic.
Yeah.
You don't have to be Shakespeare, right? You just have to remind him why he's your person. What do you think about that, listener? Do you find sincerity is what matters most to you?
It reminded me of a point the article made about relationships. One of those common pitfalls, taking each other for granted.
Oh, yeah.
As time goes on, it's easy to just assume they know how we feel.
And then we're in trouble.
Exactly.
It's like anything you care about, it needs attention, right?
Yeah.
A little love, and sometimes that love, it comes in the form of just saying it, saying how you feel.
Yeah.
And the article, it doesn't just stop at that general advice. It actually gives you different approaches. It could be a quick, sweet text, or
Right.
you could go all out, a full love letter.
And I like how it really points out, matching what you're saying to the situation, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
A fun, good morning text is different than a heartfelt letter you leave on someone's pillow.
Oh, 100%. And it got me thinking, because sometimes we get in a rut, right?
You do.
What are some concrete things we can do to put this into practice? And the article even said something as simple as, a thinking of you text in the middle of the workday. That can have a surprisingly big impact.
It's those little things, right?
Yeah.
Picture this. You're swamped at work, your phone buzzes, you look down, it's your partner, just sending a quick loving thought.
It's like a little boost,
Yeah.
Like a little sunshine in your day.
Yeah.
So, listeners, I want you to think for a second. Have you gotten a message like that? Short but sweet. How did it make you feel?
It's that reminder, even when you're apart, you're still connected. And that makes a world of difference.
It does, doesn't it? I think we all need to be reminded of that sometimes. Okay, but what about those times when it's more than have a great day? When you really want to get those deep feelings across.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I thought the article took a really interesting turn.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
It suggests, turning to love poems or even just quotes when, you feel like your words aren't quite cutting it.
I like that.
Because it's you're borrowing a little bit of magic, from people who, really knew how to use words.
Yeah.
And it's not about trying to sound all fancy either. I think there's something really honest, really vulnerable in saying, this says it better than I ever could.
Totally. And it creates this connection, right? You're sharing that with your partner. The article even uses Elizabeth Barrett Browning as an example. Can you imagine sharing those words with your husband? Words that have been around for centuries.
It's you're part of this whole history of love stories, right?
Exactly.
And if it's a poem or a quote, that means something to both of you.
Ooh, even better.
It's your own secret language then.
Yeah.
Do you have any poems or quotes that you and your partner share?
But it's not all, roses and sonnets and stuff, right?
Yeah.
This deep dive. It's also about how these messages can help you to face anything.
Oh, for sure. It's creating these little touchstones, these reminders of what you have that you can come back to. Because, let's face it, life gets messy.
Life gets messy, it does.
All the time.
And it made me think about the whole love languages thing.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how the article touched on that?
It did.
I think it's worth, digging into a little deeper. Because for some people, hearing those words of affirmation, that's huge.
It's how they receive love, right?
Yeah. It's not just a nice bonus. It's essential.
It's their language.
Exactly. So this isn't just about romance. It's literally about understanding how to meet a need in the relationship.
Speaking their language, right?
Yes.
Both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
And it made me realize sometimes a heartfelt, I appreciate you, that can be more powerful than any gift.
Especially if words of affirmation are important to them. You're right.
Right. And you know what else I loved? How the article stresses you don't need these grand gestures all the time. It's the little things done consistently that actually mean the most.
100%.
Yeah.
Like you come home, there's a note tucked into your lunchbox. That can be just as meaningful, sometimes more, than some big fancy date night. It means they were thinking of you.
It was those little things that say, I love you, I appreciate you, I see you, without needing to shout it from the rooftops.
Right. Yeah, and it really hit home for me, that part about love letters, how they become keepsakes.
Right.
Like words can have lasting power.
Right.
It made me think, if there was just one thing you could tell your partner, something you want them to always carry with them, what would it be?
Oh, wow. That's a big one.
And what I appreciate about this whole conversation is we don't need a reason to say those things. Like we don't need to wait for an anniversary or whatever. Every day you have a chance to make those memories, you know, to really express how you feel.
That's so true. It doesn't have to be this big thing, whether it's a quick love you as you're heading out the door or that letter they keep in their drawer tucked away. It all adds up, doesn't it?
It does, every bit of it.
What do you think, listener? What's that one message you want your person to always carry with them? Because at the end of the day, those small gestures, those are the things that build a love that lasts.
Beautifully said.
And on that note, listeners, that wraps up our deep dive for today. Go out there, tell someone you love them. You might be surprised how much brighter it makes your day, too.